It's 7:10 now. It's Tuesday morning, the 21st of May, and a very good morning to you. Right, we're taking you back quite a long way now to the royal court of 1625 and the high life of King Charles I. So I'm hoping we've chosen the right music. I don't really know what it sounded like back then, but my next guest might, because he spent much of the last 7 years dressed as Charles I, as you do. His name is Daniel Williams. He's from Sutton Coldfield, and he's been to more than 70 historic locations around the UK, dressed up as King Charles I, and he's here to tell you why. Morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Sarah.
Have we got the music right?
Yeah, it's perfect, actually. Great ambience for the start of this interview, definitely.
Good, because, we had a few options. I'll play you the others, actually. This was the first one.
Oh, I do like that. It does suit the mood of King Charles when he's a religious devotion. Yes, definitely.
Oh, I see. I thought it was a bit heavy, really.
Maybe a bit too heavy for the start, yeah.
It is a heavy end to his tale, of course.
Oh, so yes, of course.
Well for him, doesn't it? And then we had this one. I don't know if that's a bit sort of Robin Hood and his merry men, maybe. Or...
Do you know, I absolutely love this kind of music now. It's been amazing, really. Been quite a voyage, you could say. But I've in every aspect of King Charles, music has been one of the biggest eye openers for me.
Has it?
Yeah, to go from club music, thumping and everything.
Because you're
else.
A DJ, aren't you? Really?
That's right. Yeah, and so going from that to hearing the music from the time of King Charles, a totally different mood and. You could say it's even better for your well-being, really, in a bizarre way. Yeah.
I've got so many questions, Daniel. Where do we start?
I know, I can imagine.
Why do you do it?
Well, as it started out, I've always been interested in history. So I went to Carisbrooke Castle with my dear father. And in there, I saw King Charles's portrait on the wall. And I'd been following people like the Tudors before and everything else. And King Charles and his portrait intrigued me. I thought, why is he being kept a prisoner in Carisbrooke Castle? There's a story going on here and something doesn't quite add up. And so after seeing his portrait and the whole story being ignited, I started to read about the English Civil War and then suddenly realised that on my doorstep was a place named after him. And I was like, this is very bizarre. King Charles has been a lot closer around my existence growing up than I ever realised.
Yeah.
And so I started to pursue his story and go and find places that he'd been to. And then I thought, God, this man's been so well travelled through the most bizarre circumstances that I couldn't believe that he'd been everywhere around the West Midlands, been all up and down the UK. He was born in Scotland, in Dunfermline. And so I went on this trail, and the trail just got madder and madder.
Well, I can understand that. Lots of people are interested in history, but not many people end up dressing up.
Yeah.
Full on for 7 years. When did it cross over into that?
So I went to go and stay at a place in Painswick in the Cotswolds and called the Courthouse Manor. And what intrigued me there, and it's quite a story really, and it's something that I'm actually written about, is I found out that years ago the most famous ghost in England was that of King Charles I. And I was like, wow, that's quite a claim that is, I'd love to go and find out if this is true, because he'd been seen in the grounds of the building. And so I went and stayed there, found out you could actually go and stay there, which is great. And so blown away by the place, its history. It was built in the 1600s, so good, nearly 400 years old. And yes, it was haunted. Me and my friend stayed there.
What, did you see it?
Had experiences.
What happened?
Some I'll tell you about, some I won't, because they're just so, the things that I really want people to read about in the book, which is going to blow their mind. But there, I can remember being in bed one night and hearing footsteps above me. And I spoke to the people that run it the next day, and they said, well, that part of the wing was shut. That's the owner's private part. Where they live and they're not in and is all locked up. And so that was great. I was like, wow, this is better than most haunted this is. And and so stayed there on a few occasions, and I've been through the whole process of being spooked and then getting used to being in the dark and all. You don't care anymore. And so one day I was sat on a sun lounger just looking at the building from the distance. And I thought to myself, how cool would it be if King Charles suddenly came round the corner there with his troops, just like he did at the time when he stayed. And history was brought to life. Everybody can imagine the buzz, can imagine the excitement of people's faces when they see the king's back.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, what if I could do that myself? I've already done Freddie Mercury before.
How hard can it be?
Don't know if the characters could have pulled this off. But,
Freddie Mercury, King Charles I.
Well, yeah. I mean,
showmen.
There's a bit of facial hair going on, obviously, between them both. I don't know about the singing, but when you look at me, I'm nothing like the pair of them. I've got no facial hair,
It's got a Mohican, actually, I should say. Daniel's sitting here with a Mohican. So it's a bit of a jump to go to the long, curly locks of King Charles.
Bit of a contrast, isn't it? And so yeah, I thought, can I do this? And a friend of mine that turned out to be the general manager at Stoneleigh Abbey kept saying to me, come down, we've got a portrait here and other stuff of King Charles's. And he made me stand in front of the portrait of King Charles one day and said, I'm just going to take a picture and then I want to show you something. And I'm like, what's he going to show me, And he showed me the picture and he said, look, you've got the same profile as King Charles.
Oh, I see.
Same thing going on. And I was like, nah, you haven't me on. And he's like, no, look. And he goes, I've noticed it. He said, I've been following you on Facebook, seeing on your trail, you might be a descendant. There's something going on here. And I'm like, well, I've never looked down that road, but that's amazing, Yeah. And so started to put together the idea of looking like the king, got some facial hair from abroad, started to trim it all up into the beard, the look. Then one day I put it all together, went in the mirror, took a selfie. And when I looked back at the picture, I'm like, oh my God, that is King Charles looking back at me.
Amazing. And that's where it all began. And you now got a book out which people can find. What's it called?
Not titled yet. It's nearly finished.
Oh, it's nearly done.
But yeah, it's been 3 years in the making. So.
Okay. Well, we'll mention it when we know more about it.
Brilliant.
And you can find Daniel as well on socials at King Charles I Return. Is that right?
For one, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
And then you can see what he actually looks like. So, Daniel, fascinating story. Thanks for telling us about it. Dressing up as King Charles I, as you do.
BBC Radio WM Sport.
It's been another memorable season for West Midlands football.